accepting the evil that controls, becoming aware of society and its order. Like, I don't know, people don't like to talk about this, but I think that it's in my best interest to talk about it. I like to hear myself talk about it, and I don't know. I think that I don't know. I didn't go to a university. I don't know what secrets, if there's any, that society has. I'm not part of no congregation, and you know, you're to think I have a theory in which these people, they keep secrets. They keep secrets, and that this and this and that, and I don't know, that there's secret societies that dominate. But all that, that makes part of a theory of why is it that I'm going through what I'm going through. Why is it that life is the way it is? Why is it that there is no order in a city? All that, it doesn't make sense. It leads to questions. It leads to a whole bunch of questions. It leads to a whole bunch of doubts. It leads to a whole bunch of negativity. And then you ask yourself, how does that theory, you know, fit into the world, the society that I know? It doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. And so, um, I started to make a different theory. I started to make a different theory based on what I know is out there. On who is out there, on how generation after generation. Because I guess at first, I had this theory of, it's society, it's the elders that, that have a say, whose vote counts more in society, and that they handle the world, because every city is very, the world is a city. So every city is separated into sections, and those sections are who controls it. Who controls each section controls the world. And I always said it was the elders. It's the elders. They are the ones that have the most experience. They are the ones that have 80, 90 years, you know, of experience, and somehow they dominate regardless of how much the aggression wants to, and this and this and that it's not like that. But but like I said, then you run in then you have to then I had to you know figure out how is it that fit into the world that I know right now. And it doesn't. Regardless if they have a separation, regardless if there's still very much a lot of lies that are out there, especially when you talk to somebody that is lying to you to your face, you know and so so as a person, you run into society, all like I remember when I was in the States, and I ran into the bullshit that's there, and you just can't do nothing about it. As a person, as a civilian, you can't do nothing about the underworld, about the police department, about the churches, and their pedophiles. You can't do nothing about it. You know that the orgy societies are there. You know that if you go and you participate, you'll see the city for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's not hiding. It's not hiding. And then so you have to accept it. You have to accept that, how would you say it, that evil controls, that evil dominates, that, what I'm saying, that wherever you work, somebody is in charge that's not really in charge. That's just there as a representative. And it all becomes frustrating, and it all becomes so unbelievable, but yet it's there, you know on day-to-day basis, and it's like living a dream when you're not. And so that's the way I feel, and that it's very messed up because when you're growing up, you don't know all this. You don't know that, how would you say it, that the world is the way it is, and that, how would you say it, that I feel, like I said, that it's not hiding, that if you go and you realize, because there's all these doubts, you know, there's all these doubts about how is it that a city functions. But in reality, you know, as a Christian, you're questioning yourself, you're asking everybody inside the church, and no one says nothing to you. But go and look, go to the places that you don't dare go to, you know. Go to them, and you'll see how one thing leads to another, and one thing leads to another, and then you realize, why is it all those people in church have no comment whatsoever? You realize it, and you have to accept it, that evil dominates, that, you know, that as Christians we're born, and that there's demons that are out there, there's some pastors that they dare say it, but they're counted, and they say, that there's demons that are out there. And so I think that they are the majority. I think that they are the majority, that there's some that act like if they're asleep, that play the ignorant role, you know, that act ignorant, you know. But you have to accept that evil dominates. And when you get to my age, you realize it, and it's just there. And I just feel like they are the majority. They are the majority. I felt like I was lost in between a whole bunch of stupid people that were wide awake.